When I was 21 years old, I was sitting in my dad's chair in the family living room, and I was asking the Lord whether I should move to Nashville. And I had this dream of becoming a Christian singer. And I did get to Nashville, and I realized no one wanted to hear me sing except my mama. So that never worked, but that's okay. God had another plan. He kept his eye on me. But I was sitting there in my dad's chair, and I was asking the Lord what he had for my life, and should I actually move. And I opened up my Bible into my daily Bible reading. And I always love it when God speaks to us right where we are in that day, in that chapter, in that verse. And I was in Genesis 12, and I opened it up to verse 1, and this is what it says. It said, "The Lord said to Abraham, go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land that I will show you." And I knew I was to move to Nashville. And so I packed up my bags and moved, and I lived there 30 years. And in 30 years, I had never asked God again if I should move. And when Philly and I got married, we honeymooned here on Lake Oconee, and so it became a special place, and we would come back year after year. And he asked me one day if I would even consider living here. And I thought, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. I only know Nashville. I've lived there for 30 years, more than I've lived anywhere in my life. And I was really resistant to even asking the Lord. And so we were here. And I sat down one morning and I said, Lord, I said, would you want us to move here? And I just left it with him, and I opened up my Bible. And the same question, 30 years later, I opened it up to Genesis 12. It was exactly where I was the same day, 30 years later, with the same question. And he said, go to a land that I will show you. What if I hadn't asked? What if I had not been willing to entertain the fact that God may have a plan that looked different from what my heart may have wanted? I had 30 years of vested relationships and church and family. How do you leave your community and your people and go to a land that God will show you? And I realize that so often we live our lives like this. We live our lives clenched fist. And in living this way, I used to think that if I lived this way, then all I had would be all I would get, because God can't get anything into clenched fist. But what I learned is that really when I hold something like this, I can eventually kill what I'm holding on to so tightly. And I can miss what God has altogether. But if I live like this, then God can get to me what he has for me so that he can get through me the ways in which he desires to use me. So I just pose the question tonight, are you holding anything like this? A person, a place, a job, a dream, a child, your resources. God has a plan, and he wants to get his highest and best plan to us, but he cannot get it to us living like this. He can only get it to us living like this. But this is a very freeing way in which to live. When the Holy Spirit is instructing in the eyes of the Lord. are upon us, guiding our path and our step. Do you remember when we talked about last night Eve's catastrophic failure? It was all wrapped up in the word she. When she saw the fruit looked good, when she saw that it could make one wise, she took and she ate and she gave. She. And there was much lost in her clenched fist, living. And we will not live the purpose and plan that God has for us if we live our lives like this.